freedom, true freedom in life is not found in the way most people think it's found. Most people think freedom is one thing. They think when my family gets sorted, I'll be free. Okay. Most people think, oh no, Samuel, it's not my family. When my finances get sorted, then I'll really be free. Okay. Now, there's other people who say, no, when I get serious with my faith, then I'll be free. And then there's other people who say, no, Samuel, you know what? I just got to fix my focus and then I'll be free. And for those who have been working with me or training with me or listening to me, you might even say, no, Samuel, it's my fortress I need so I can really be free. When I get my fortress free, I'll be free. I learned something once and it actually changed me. So because of that, I'd love to share it with you so you can truly become free. True freedom doesn't come when you actually activate freedom of family. True freedom hasn't even begun if you've only activated the freedom of faith. Samuel, what do you mean? I'll give you an example, a simple biblical example, which makes so much sense. In the Bible, if you look in the New Testament, there's a verse, it says, faith without works is dead. What does that mean? That means if you crack the faith code, but you don't crack the work code, then your faith code was never really cracked. So it takes more than freedom of faith. It takes more than freedom of family. It takes more than freedom of focus. It takes more than freedom of fortress, and it takes more than freedom of finances. But I have good news for you today. Although it takes more than any one individual of these freedoms, what most people don't realize is all five is how freedom truly comes alive. Freedom isn't found in one circle. Freedom is actually found in the alignment of these circles. When you make a commitment in your life to say, if it's going to be, then it's up to me. True freedom can become your portion because you've made that commitment to focus on becoming free in terms of your family, becoming free in terms of your finances, to becoming free in terms of your focus, to becoming free in terms of your fortress, to becoming free in terms of paramountly your faith. Most of us forget this. Most of us don't get this. Most of us don't see how profound it is that we've been focused on one area. But that's the reason why we stay stuck as servants instead of becoming rich like rulers. If you're someone who's been tuned into my content for a while, you know I talk a lot about Matthew 25 and that story that Jesus told, the parable of the master with the 3 servants, and he gave them talents. And at the end, he tells the one who had 5, who created another 5, he said, you were a servant, but go and become a ruler. And the one who had 2, who was able to multiply the 2 and get another 2, he says, you were a servant, but now I want you to go and be a ruler. You see, that catapult, that astronomical exponential growth from servant to ruler, it occurs because we get focused on not just one specific area of freedom, but we get to a place where we say, no, you know what? I know what freedom is going to be for me. So if it's going to be, it's going to be up to me. And I'm going to do something different than what I've ever done. I'm going to get focused on building the family that I know will allow me to be free. I'm going to be focused on enhancing my finances in a way that I can finally be free. I'm going to get focused on erecting and creating a fortress around me, an environment around me that will surround me so that I can truly be free. And I'm going to ensure that my focus is so dialed in that the only inevitability for someone like me is that I'm going to have to become free. And I'm going to dial in my faith in a way that people will see that ultimately this person, this young man, this sister, this lady has to be free. This is the game changer that Matthew 25 exudes. And if we take it upon ourselves to use, we'll start to see the way that God truly views. He sees you producing results beyond any results you've ever produced before. But in order to do that, you have to decide. Decide that you are going to measure yourself accurately. No longer are you going to measure yourself by the Joneses and just do what everyone else is doing. And then when things don't work, you just start screwing. You start getting angry because you can't see a way out, instead of realizing the reason you can't see a way out is because you followed the wrong people about. And if you just took a step back for a moment, so you could start to, for the first time, see the wood for the trees and the leaves for the trees, and you can really start to see, you'd realize that you're on the wide path. And that's the reason why it feels like it's going towards destruction. But if you're listening to me and you're saying to yourself, Samuel, I'm in a place where I finally desire to see, I'm going to give you an activity. And this activity is going to help you to move further faster in your future. What we're going to do is called the Freedom Audit. Okay, very simple. All you're going to do is you're going to take these 5 areas I've mentioned: faith, family, finances, fortress, and focus. And you are going to give each of them a score out of 10. What's that going to look like? I'm so glad you asked. If you feel as though your faith is an area where you're super strong, and you don't feel as though it's an area where you're just holding on, then go give that a 10. Go give that a high ranking officer mark. And then just go through each of these 5 areas. Start with faith, then move to your family. How are you doing in the area of your family as it pertains to you being free? Have you constructed your family in a way where you have people pouring into you, where you have people you can pour into? Have you constructed things where they're of value for you? I want you to grade each of these 5 focus areas. What do you give yourself from 1 to 10 for faith? 1 being, Samuel, I don't even know what to do. I'm in a shambles in this area. And 10 being, Samuel, you know what? I know this is an area of strength. I've invested in this area. I've focused on this area. I have worked in this area. And this area is literally helping me in my other areas. I want you to give each of these 5 categories: faith, family, finances, the fortress, and your focus, a grade out of 10. And then I want you to ask this question. The question, after you've graded them, is which one is carrying the weight of your life? And which one is quietly limiting your life? Because whichever one of these you realize is the highest ranking officer, that's the one that's carrying all the weight for your life. And whichever one you realize is what we might call the weakest link, that's the one that you're going to realize, oh, this thing is limiting my life. Because if you realize that your focus is a 1, because you can't seem to get laser focused on anything these days, and you realize that your faith is a 10 because you're believing that one day you'll be receiving, even if the devil keeps trying to be deceiving, you're going to realize, you know what, I need to change something. You're going to realize that having a 10 in faith and a 1 in focus can't help you. So identify the weakest link and identify the highest ranking officer. I want you to take this time with your notebook, iPad, tablet, stylus, pen, paper, everything you need in order to succeed, and carry out this freedom audit. Give yourself a rank 1 to 10 in each of these 5 areas. Where do you rank? Where do you rank with your faith and freedom that is going to be created by your faith? Where do you rank with your family? Where do you rank with your finances? Where do you rank with the fortress that you've created? Where do you rank with your focus? Because what most people don't realize is that a structure is only as strong as its weakest pillar. So if your weakest link is focus, then your whole fortress has the opportunity to fall down. And what I want you to do once you've done the full audit is I want you to make one commitment. And this isn't a commitment to me. This isn't a commitment to anybody. This is a commitment to you. The commitment I desire you to make is to focus this month not on trying to get your total score higher, but instead, I want you to choose one of these 5 freedoms and just focus on more deeply strengthening that individual freedom over the next 30 days. Just make that commitment to yourself. I've done my freedom audit. I've scored myself in the 5 areas. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide on one of these areas of freedom to improve, just one. And I'll spend the rest of this month, the next 30 days, just improving on this specific one freedom so that my weakest link doesn't stay my weakest link. If you got value from what we've shared, throw the word freedom in the chat so I know that this has been something of value to you.
Small keys open big doors.